You know what? We're going to have to work on that. That intro video is something that I was hoping was going to go off without any hinges, but unfortunately not the case here this morning. So we're hopefully going to be able to fix that for the next time. But welcome into the stream, you guys. I am Tony Metro. If you guys are new, be sure to subscribe so you can get all the latest Mets content that I cover here on my channel. If you're watching on Instagram Live, you're probably in a much shorter, condensed little view box of it. So you can catch this on YouTube right now. You can also check me out on Twitter Spaces as well. It's just Tony Metro or Tony Metro MLB, depending on which platform you're looking for me on. But today, the New York Mets are going for their fourth consecutive series victory as they take on the Oakland, now West Sacramento Athletics in Game 2 of their weekend series. The Mets very narrowly eking a victory out over the A's last night as Edwin Diaz has trouble closing the door. He gives up 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning, but the Mets escape with a 7-6 victory, thanks in large part to the polar bear himself, Pete Alonso. Another huge night, a double, a home run, and 2 RBIs as the Mets are 9-4, contending for first place in the National League East, and very exciting times in Queens as we got our man back in Pete Alonso. Juan Soto hasn't exactly hit his stride on total point, but things are looking good. A decent performance from Griffin Canning last night. After he finished that 5th inning where he got out of a bases loaded jam, he actually gave up that screamer of a line drive to right field off of the bat of Wilson that Juan Soto was right there to catch. I was really surprised that Carlos Mendoza sent him back out for the 6th inning, especially because that was the inning, if you remember, Pete Alonso had a sac fly, then Starling Marte had a 2-run double to center field, and Griffin Canning sat in the dugout for quite some time, at least I would say 20, maybe even 25 minutes. I actually even posted a tweet saying, how would you grade Griffin Canning's performance today? 5 innings, 1 run, a couple of hits, couple of walks. And I was shocked to see that he went back out to the mound for the 6th inning. Obviously, Carlos Mendoza had different ideas than I did, and they were not right because Canning got torched there in the 6th. And then Garrett Reed really struggled to put an end to the 6th inning as he ended up loading the bases as well. He was fortunate to have a screamer of a line drive also get caught to end that one. And then, of course, Edwin Diaz walks the tightrope at 1:30 in the morning Eastern time. I mean, it was a very fun game, and thankfully one the Mets won. If the Mets had not pulled it out, I can't say it would have been such a fun game. But hopefully today will be another fun one as the Mets look to get their 10th victory of the season. So let's get into it. First of all, normally I start with the Mets pitcher on the mound and break down their stats and the opposing lineup. Today, though, we're going to go the other way, and that is because the pitching matchup for the Mets, of course, we have David Peterson on the mound. For the Athletics, it is JT Ginn, and if that name sounds familiar, it should, because JT Ginn is a former Mets draft prospect who they actually traded to Oakland after the 2021 season to get Chris Bassitt. So the Mets took him in the 2nd round of the 2020 MLB draft. That was a Brodie Van Wagenen pick, and he was traded in the Chris Bassitt trade, like I mentioned. Ranks as the Athletics' 13th overall prospect. Not saying a whole lot because the A's prospect farm system actually ranks 21st in all of Major League Baseball. But last year made his debut in 2024, 7th career start today. Last year in 6 starts and 8 overall appearances, a 4.24 ERA in 34 innings, but pretty impressive, 29 strikeouts as compared to just 9 walks. So he definitely can get some Ks. So far this year in the minor leagues, Ginn has a 1.64 ERA over 11 innings. Interesting to note, 56% ground ball rate. So gets a lot of ground balls. He also struck out 51% of hitters, but that is in the minor leagues. Obviously, a totally different level of play, especially with what we hope is a really strong Mets lineup. They put up 7 runs yesterday against J.P. Sears, who was a quality MLB pitcher. That Oakland pitching staff, the bullpen, wow, they really struggled to throw strikes. I mean, that was a long game. Leave it to the longest game of the season to be on the West Coast. But overall, JT Ginn, somewhat highly regarded prospect. Again, 13th overall in the Athletics system, but again, they just have the 21st best system in baseball. So we'll see what they get out of him today. Obviously, not many Mets have faced JT Ginn in their career, because this is only his 7th career start. So here's the lineup for the Mets today. Pretty typical against a right-hander. Francisco Lindor leading off. Juan Soto in his usual 2 spot. Pete Alonso, who we're going to talk about more in a second, hitting 3rd. After that, Brandon Nimmo, Starling Marte back out there at DH. Mark Vientos, hopefully he'll get something going. I got him predicted to hit his first home run of 2025 in this series while they're in West Sacramento. Didn't look so great last night. Brett Baty. Oh man, Brett Baty. I mean, it's a right-hander, so I knew this was going to happen. Like, this was expected. But come on, man. Luis Angel Acuna, double yesterday, scores a run on Luis Torrens's double. He then gets on base via walk on a 9-pitch at-bat, steals a base. Also got a little bloop base hit, which, okay, I'm not going to give him roses for that one, but still, 2 hits, stolen base, and scores a run yesterday. I want to see Luis Angel Acuna. I am done with Brett Baty. I mean, we all are at this point, but this is how it's going to go, at least until Jeff McNeil comes back. At that point, I fully expect that Baty is going back down to Syracuse, but we'll see. By the way, if you're in the stream, what's up? Jonathan Shinup, a loyal viewer. Always appreciate you hopping in. Everybody, please feel free to leave comments and definitely leave this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you are not already. You may be watching this on Twitter, or you may be watching it on Instagram. Best possible way to watch it is on YouTube, but whatever works for you. We need to talk about Edwin. We will. Let's do that in a second here. Let me get through the rest of this lineup here. We got, after Baty, Jose Siri's back out there, who's been pretty average so far. Just 1 hit this year. He drew a walk yesterday and then obviously was able to create a run with his speed, tagging up on that sac fly by, I think it was Marte? No, it would have been Alonso. Whoever hit that sac fly to right field. I think it was Pete Alonso. Not very deep, but Siri using his speed to create a run. And then Hayden Sanger back out there. Sanger getting a start with Luis Torrens just coming back, obviously, from that right forearm contusion. So trying to keep him off his legs for a little bit and not just rushing back into starting too many games. I'd expect Torrens to be back in the lineup tomorrow. Now, the only player in this Mets lineup that actually has an at-bat against JT Ginn is Jose Siri, because he was with Tampa Bay last year. He is 0-for-1. The rest of this lineup, nothing, zilch, nada, have never faced JT Ginn before. So this will be interesting to see what the Mets do. Sometimes a lineup does really well against a rookie, or I guess he'd still be considered a rookie, or against someone they've never faced. And other times they get shut down, or it takes 2 turns through the lineup for them to finally figure it out. So that'll be really interesting to see how quickly the Mets can adjust to JT Ginn. Let's talk about it, though. Edwin Diaz has definitely been very worrisome in the early going. Even in a few saves that he's had this year, he's been walking the tightrope. Last night was no different. You can usually tell from the first or second pitch from Edwin Diaz that it's going to be a long night. And his first 2 pitches were very wild. He ends up walking the leadoff batter on 4 pitches. He gives up a couple rockets, a double down the left field line, and 2 runs come in to score. That sac fly to left field was pretty well struck for the second out that Nimmo caught. Fortunate to get Wilson to just hit a weak little tapper to second base to Acuna to end the game. This is pretty common for Edwin Diaz. We know he has his ups and downs. We know that he's going to give us some heartache most games if he doesn't have his A-grade stuff, and that was the case yesterday. It's early in the season, so I'm not freaking out quite yet. I'm going to in the moment every time he pitches that way, but right now I'm not going to definitively say that the Mets have a problem with Edwin Diaz. I think that we need to give it at least another couple weeks and see how he's performing. It's a control thing, obviously. When he does have good control like he did in his first close, whatever you want to call it, save appearance, he had his perfect control, his perfect stuff, and it was 1, 2, 3, and it was fantastic. That one came against Houston in the second game of the series, or of the season. But yesterday, obviously, was bad Edwin, where he doesn't know where the fastball is going. The slider doesn't have a lot of break. It's really hard to figure out when he's not going to have his good stuff. Last night happened to be one of those nights. So fortunately, the Mets able to get out unscathed and get the victory. So really happy about that. Meanwhile, we got Mr. Pete Alonso, who is on an absolute heater right now. Revenge tour. Pete Alonso, the top OPS in all of baseball at over 1,100. Top slugging percentage in baseball at 778. second in average at 378, second in RBIs with 18, and second in on-base percentage at 482. He has 4 home runs and 18 RBIs. Those 4 home runs tied for third in baseball. He's also tied for the third most extra base hits in all of Major League Baseball. Good for Pete Alonso. This is so awesome to see. I mean, this guy got ragged on it. I'm not going to say I'm innocent in that, okay? I'm guilty too, but he got dragged last year for such a just understated performance in 23 and into 2024. Gary Cohen said it on the broadcast last night, and I totally agree. It feels like that home run that he hit in Milwaukee completely unlocked him. The shackles have been removed, and he just is comfortable and back to being the Pete Alonso that we knew from 2022 and before. He is laying off the bad pitches. He's not chasing. He's barely struck out. He's taking his walks. It's just so awesome to see. It seems like he's got that confidence and really, really pumped about it. You can take a look at these metrics here. I'm not getting into all the nerdy ex-WOBA stuff, okay? But we'll touch on some of these things. Expected batting average is at 363, which is actually lower than his actual batting average of 378. So they're suggesting he might be due for some regression, but he's still in the 98th percentile there, which is ridiculous. A big reason for that, his hard hit percentage, which is at 65.9% of the time. That's in the 99th percentile. His bat speed, 98th percentile. And his K percentage, like I said, he's not striking out a lot. 8.9% of the time. That's in the 95th percentile as well. So Pete Alonso just absolutely crushing it to begin the season. It has been so awesome to watch. I am so happy for him, and hopefully the good times keep on rolling. So that was the Mets lineup. Now let's take a look at the A's lineup, as they actually looked a little bit better than I was expecting. They have a little bit of talent on this team, I gotta say. So Jacob Wilson, he had a 2-run double yesterday. He's at the leadoff spot. Brent Rooker, we know, super dangerous, former Rookie of the Year, home run hitter. He had a double off the wall in center field back in the 3rd inning last night. Tyler Soderstrom, the guy that came into this series, arguably the most dangerous hitter in the lineup right now. 6 home runs, 10 RBIs in the early going for the A's, and a batting average that was above 345 yesterday, before whatever he ended up doing yesterday in his batting average department. Shea Langeliers, wow. Thank you for telling us this every time he gets a hit, Gary Cohen. Yes, we get it. Shea Langeliers was named after Shea Stadium and absolutely crushes the Mets every single time. Yeah, he's due to do it again. It's just how it goes, I guess, right? Miguel Andujar with a 2-run homer yesterday. Andujar, never understood why the Yankees just gave up on him and didn't give him at-bats. That guy can hit. He's got above a 300 average. That was his first homer yesterday. And then after that, J.J. Bleday, Luis Arias, Max Muncy, again, not to be confused with the Dodgers' Max Muncy, though they do share the same name and same birthday. That's pretty bizarre. And then Johnny Pereira with JT Ginn on the mound. And of course, they'll be going up against David Peterson, who is making his 3rd start of the season. Last time out, David Peterson, 6 innings of shutout ball against the Marlins this past Monday. So I'm hoping to get some linked out of Peterson today. That's the one gripe you can have with this Mets starting rotation so far. They have bulldogged their way through a couple of these starts, but walks have been a big issue, traffic on the base paths, and that's why a lot of these starts have not given them a lot of length. So that's meant they've had to rely on their bullpen quite a bit. Even yesterday, the Mets tried to push Griffin Canning to his 6th inning, which again, I think was a mistake. I didn't like putting him out there after he worked really hard in the 5th and after the Mets scored a bunch of runs and he sat on the pine for a long time in the top of the 6th. But I think Mendoza was like, hey, let's try to get as much as we can out of this guy. We got a 6-1 lead. This bullpen's been used a lot, even though they had the off day on Thursday. It could set up the rest of this weekend and heading into the Minnesota series on Monday. Unfortunately, it did not work out that way. So hopefully today, David Peterson can go 6 innings, something that he and Kodai Senga are the only 2 Mets pitchers so far this year to do. So that's what I'm looking for, and it's all going to come down to walks. Even in his previous start against the Marlins, walks were the big culprit for Peterson. We know it's been his big issue throughout his career, but he's definitely improved on it in the last 24 months or so, 2 years, I would say, since he was coming around in 2023. So hopefully the Mets get the win today. They're looking for their 4th consecutive series victory, their 10th overall win of the season to move to their high water mark of 6 games over 500. Hoping to do a post-game show. We'll see about that. We're got to see how timing works with everything on my personal life and everything going on there. But you can catch me on Twitter. I'll be tweeting about the game, talking about things. If you guys are Instagram or if you're watching on Twitter, you can follow me on YouTube. Just check out my bio and follow the link there to get all the latest Mets content. That's going to do it for right now. Hopefully, we'll be talking about another W later this afternoon. Let's go Mets.